Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Art of Life podcast. I am so glad for you, my dear listeners, to be tuning in for another show because it is your love that keeps us going and it allows me to bring all these beautiful conversations for you. And today I have an awesome guest. Her name is Vasu. She is joining us from Michigan in the USA, and she is a physician who's turned into an artist. So she really explores how art can go really deep into our emotions and then connect us with some of the hidden parts of ourselves, some of the parts that we are not wanting to say hello to, some of the things that we're wanting to run away from. And she will talk more about that. So welcome, Vasu. So glad to have you on the show.
Thank you, Kanika. I'm so excited and honored to be on your show.
All right, so you are a physician and then you turn into an artist. Now, tell me about the before and the after. So how was your life before that? Like, just give us a snippet. And then afterwards, how is your life now? Like, how does it look today? So that people understand what happens with that transformation.
Well, my life before I decided to retire and become a visual artist was extremely busy because I was in full-time academia, teaching, mentoring, researching, and writing papers and seeing patients. So at times it was like a 60-hour week, but it was exciting and I was happy doing all that. And then certain changes happened in administration, and I wasn't liking the way they were making my career turn. So I decided to look at options. So I tried private practice for a while, although I was able to do research while seeing patients, even as a private practitioner in pediatric gastroenterology. I just wasn't that happy because, the academic setting, teaching, mentoring, everything I missed. So then I decided that if I'm not happy doing what I'm doing, I don't want to do it by force. And my family was fully supportive and I decided to retire. But then there was a question of what was I going to do with all that void? I had all the time in the world and not much to do. So I dabbled into music and singing and all, but none of them really panned out. So then my husband suggested I should take some lessons in art. So I started with drawing and painting. And a few years later, I changed from representational to abstract and semi-abstract art. Especially during the time of COVID, I think that transition really came. And since then, I haven't looked back, and I'm very happy and excited that now I feel my life is as rich as before because I have just turned the focus of healing from medicine to healing by art because I feel that I have personally experienced that healing when you make this kind of a huge career transition. It wasn't an easy step and the journey was quite difficult at first, but I have found the peace and I'm very happy that I have this passion now and I can be creative and I enjoy doing it and feel a lot of calm.
That is really, really good. And one of the reasons I'm so excited to have you on the show is because often art is talked about as a healing modality, right? But then there is a scientific mind that comes into it. We are all conditioned to sort of look for why, and we are conditioned to look for studies. We're conditioned to look for, well, I don't know if this is true or not. And it's as if science, and I laugh at this because we want science to prove things to us. And what we forget is science is actually just telling us that, okay, this thing we like, for example, if we look at gravity and when Newton discovered gravity, it isn't that gravity did not exist before that. Science just merely said that, okay, this exists and now I have proof that, okay, this exists. Right? So it's kind of asking the wrong question, but it's good to have a physician here to help us with why does art really help us? Like, what do you think happens when we dabble with art, when we go with colors? Like, what happens?
I just want to emphasize, Kanika, this is a great question and it deserves explanation, but that art is not limited to just visual art. It can be any kind of art. It can be just watching art, not always making it, but it can be other art forms like writing, knitting, sewing, ceramics, sculpting, music, dancing, performance art, and so many. There must be a few quite other forms, and also activities like sports, like some people like to run or exercise and all, but not dabble into what we call art. But all those kinds of activities where your focus goes away from your other thoughts and you just focus on something else, it creates good endorphins in the brain. And these neurotransmitters like dopamine create a sense of calm and decrease the levels of cortisol, so our stress level goes down, and overall we feel very enriched and satisfied, and it quietens down our mind in very productive ways that you can even perform better in future if you continue to do it on a regular basis.
Totally. And I think what you're talking around in terms of the quietness, that is so important because, in all the hustle bustle, we're running from one step to the next. Like we run in the morning to drop our kids or to get to work. And then we run from there to finish the work, to do some deadline. Then we run from there. Whenever that ends, we run again. Like everybody knows the story, right? The whole time we get up, we're even running to go to bed and then running to get up in the morning. There's a constant run happening. But when we have the quiet space, like when we are seeking inspiration, when we are seeking, okay, what do I need to do next? How do I do this? There has to be space for that to flow in, right? So when we quieten our mind, that's able to come in.
Yes. And that's where you will discover the therapeutic power of creative expression. Like my system revolves around the idea that art is not just for artists. Anybody can do it. You don't have to create a masterpiece every day. You don't even have to complete something, every day if you start it. You can just dabble with it. And even that kind of activity will quieten the mind and make one feel better.
Totally. And I'm so on board with you that everybody needs to create rather than consume. We all really need to shift to creating. And even if it is not great, even if I feel like I cannot even draw a face, even if it's just scribbles, that's okay. But here's still the thing, right? Like we are conditioned to go like, well, if I did this, what is the result? So if I created I created a painting, let's say I spent 2 hours creating it, and to me, in my eyes, it doesn't look good. How would you talk to those people? Because there's a lot of us, when we are starting, that is what we are feeling. Instead of it motivating us, it might motivate us or make us feel good in the moment. But then I look at the painting and I might feel like, didn't do a good job.
But the fact that you persevered and kept at it for 2 hours, that had you engrossed and involved. And that was the part that is what you need to focus on, the journey of creation rather than the end result. You're comparing your art or what you created with somebody who is writing 50th chapter in their life, not the first chapter, like for beginners and things like that. So if you don't want to create resemblance, just dabble into shapes and lines and colors, or even just doodle or write down words that appeal to me, that appeal to you, that make you feel calm, and try to think of a word like, say, I want to run. So what does run mean to you? Maybe you want to make lines that go round and round or just go straight, and just do whatever you feel like, whatever color or shape or that you want to do. And just that focus of thinking about how should I represent that word might just be an exercise that you will feel great about.
And it helps you go deeper into that. So let's say I want to run, and as you start doing that, then it gets more about, okay, this is how I feel when I'm running, or why am I running? What are you running away from? What is it that you're running to? What is it that you're running away from? So talk to us a little bit around that process, because even if people, let's say, decide today to go out, just explore with colors and just draw, how can they use that to go, okay, now I really want to go into some deep emotion. Let's say they've had a trauma, just as an example, during their childhood, they've had some trauma and they want to talk about it. They want to explore that. What is it that they can do in their homes, in their own comfortable time?
Well, I just want to say something outright, that if that kind of trauma or whatever emotions one is feeling, if it is interfering with pursuing a normal life, they should really seek professional help, in whatever form. So I will just talk about general things that, thoughts come across you, and sometimes you feel sad and depressed, or, and then you do something or think about something and makes you feel better. So just like as doctors listen to symptoms, we must listen to our emotions, and when you're feeling like that, you use art as a mirror to reflect what you're feeling, whether you do it by observing the nature or do some sketches or just dabble with colors and make shapes or make rainbows or skies and homes or whatever. That step with whatever comes out of your hand will represent what you are thinking, and that helps us tune into our subconscious feelings. And when you do that and let it out, just like venting, art is an expression of your emotions. I had a solo show a couple of years ago. I called it Symphony of Sentiments, and I had 56 works of art in there. And in these, I projected emotions, and I really literally had to sit in front of the canvas as I picked the emotions. And sometimes what I started with, if I was starting with a painting of joy, it might end up being what I later labeled as confusion or pride or something like that. So when you start something, you don't know the end result. But when you think you have completed it, then you can reassess and think about, what you want to do with that and what you want to title it or name it. Sometimes people feel blocked when they are creating. They feel they have to have something perfect that comes out. But the key is to not think about the outcome, not focus on how great that piece is going to be, but think about how great you're going to feel at the end of it. And whatever you have created will be good. And next time you can make it better if you keep at it. Or you may not want to do it that way, and you may have some other avenue or some other form of art that will appeal to you. So you have to try out a few different things. But free flowing painting, journaling, or mixed media techniques and all, we can bypass the mental resistance gradually and embrace creativity as an emotional release.
Great. I'll go back to something that you mentioned in that. You talked about that, you would start, let's say, with a feeling of joy, and then you'd go to amusement, right? And how I explain that as an energy coach is that we might be feeling something. Let's say I'm feeling sad. But beneath that are a lot of emotions. Like, it's not just one emotion, just like you said. And so there's other things, right? Yeah. So talk to us through the process, like even as you were drawing, and let's say you start with joy and you start painting, and then you just start going with it. And then in the end, you say that, okay, this is where it rests at. Now this is called confusion, let's say.
Yes.
So just talk to us about that process. How does it happen for you? How can our audience feel that for themselves, understand that for themselves as well?
Well, when you are creating abstract art, you don't have a starting point or end point, like no fixed outcome in mind. So I start by jotting down some lines and some shapes and things like that, and then I try and see how I can create some energy into it, depending on how I'm feeling at that point. But like for this particular solo show, I had made a list of certain emotions. But as I was going through the study of those emotions, I found that just like the color wheel, there is an emotional wheel. It's called Plutchik's wheel. And to overall, there may be 36 emotions that are primary, but a mixture of it or different levels, going from center towards more periphery, it's possible to have 36,000 variations of it. So it was all this amazing discovery, as I was thinking about it, I was learning more and more about the neuroscience of it,
Yeah.
And
Amazing.
yeah, it was a amazing discovery. So that day I felt like for joy, I would think I would use some pastel and bright colors. But somehow that day, and I don't finish a painting a day or something like that. It takes me several days at times to reach the ultimate outcome. So as it was evolving, I found there were more and more dark colors and there were more lines crisscrossing each other as if I was going through a maze. And so eventually, when I finished it, I kept on working at it. There was a lot more dark, as if I was going through a tunnel or something deep into a crevice, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. So I ended up calling that painting confusion.
Yep, and that's a very good way of looking at it. It's not that anything is right or wrong. We tend to say, oh, joy is good. Like if you're feeling happy is good, but it's just impossible. And it's so much pressure on someone to feel happy all the time. It takes energy as well. It's very human to go up and down. And simply by just saying hello to these emotions, expressing them or writing them out, whatever your way of creativity is, when we do that, we've just let that emotion come out. And here's the good thing, that when you've let the stuff come out, new things can come in. New magic can come in because you're allowing flow to happen.
You're very right. Yes. And art is a tool for rewiring our mindset as to not be, just bothered with a fixed outcome, but just work freely with a stroke and texture and color or anything that you feel like handling. So usually that we have the whole wheel set up, so you can pick up any color you want, on the palette and work with it and then go from there to wherever you want to. But as you're creating, every 15-20 minutes, I have to get up and sit back and look at it and see what am I creating, where am I going. And that makes me gain insight into my inner self as to this is what I'm doing and how this is evolving. And that experience for me is meditative healing.
That is beautiful, and that is how it has to be, because what you are doing is you're going there, you're expressing your emotions, you're taking a little step back, and then you're coming and creating again, right? Now, the very reason, like as an energy coach, why we feel disconnected is because we are running and running in the cycle of life. We are running and running, and we're not taking that time to pause and reconnect with ourselves, what we want. So we are actually trying to control so much. Even when we are painting or however we are expressing our emotions, we try and control. Like so many pages I have to write today. Okay, it has to come from creativity, but I want to control my creativity also. But how will that happen? So
this process of pausing, and reflecting and all that creates what is called neuroplasticity in the brain. That means the neurons form more new connections and they are able to communicate with each other better. So that helps with the healing and more release of the dopamine.
Yes, and I'm so glad that you pointed that out, because we tend to grow up thinking that, okay, now my brain's got fixed, or beyond a certain age, now it cannot be healed. This is how I am. But when you take the pause, like you pointed out with neuroplasticity, or however we're doing our creativity, however we are allowing that, we are rewiring. When you bring that, then you rewire more. Now, one thing was very beautiful in what you mentioned. You talked around mirroring. You talked that, when I draw, or when we draw, there are emotions that come out and you look at them and you think, okay, how are they mirroring what's going on inside? Talk about that a little bit more.
Let me just take this creating this series of paintings for my Symphony of Sentiments where I painted emotions. So some days I didn't start with any kind of agenda. Like I didn't start with a title, that today I want to create this particular painting. And as I was doing it, I was working with light colors, and then I wanted to put some yellow, and then I said, no, I need some darks, and I took very deep green, permanent green, and almost like black, and I created something, and it, in the end, when I finished it, it looked like a medal or something that you would covet and treasure. So then I called it confidence, so and so depending on how I'm feeling that day, while I'm painting, I want to focus as much as I can on the painting process, but it doesn't stop me from running my everyday life and doing my other responsibilities and chores and things like that. We all go through these ups and downs of emotional cascade and or roller coaster, as we all talk about. So not every day is just perfect and every stroke falls right and all that. There are days when nothing seems right, and those days I may work on 2 or 3 different paintings and see if one is not gelling with what I want to say. I will put it aside and do something else if I have time. So it's such a fluid process, and I have to let it happen freely without tying myself down to an outcome. So that's where I'm connecting and focusing and trying to let my inner self get into the canvas. So I call my canvases a piece of my soul because what I cannot express in words, I do write some poetry from time to time and all, but what I can't express in words, I probably put down on canvas.
No, and it is so beautifully said. Because it is expressing your soul, it is letting the deepest part of you come out that sometimes even you and the body are unaware of. And there was a lovely thing that you also mentioned, which was just around using the dark colors. Because, we tend to run away from that. There's a perception that dark is like bad, okay? And so we don't even want to look at it. But guess what? We all have it. So I loved that you actually brought out the darker shades of green and you started with that and you let them flow, because after that it moved for you and then the dial moved and then you actually ended up calling it confidence, because who would think that confidence comes from that supposedly darker colors or darker shades?
Yes. And there are rules of composition and things like that. So like you must have a balance between light and dark and the tones and everything. But I haven't learned art the formal way. Like I haven't gone to an art school. I call myself mainly self-taught. So sometimes I just don't follow any rules and just create what seems right to me. So if somebody was to analyze it, they may find it not quite typical of what an artwork should be, but it's what my creation is, and that gives me a lot of joy. And I feel it is, yeah, and it's conveying what I want to say.
Totally. Yeah. And I think that is like your truth, and it is beautiful because you say it that way, and it is, I wish in the world more of us were saying our truth. Now, what I like around your confidence piece is that it starts from the darker layers. If you actually mimic it back with our lives, a lot of the times when we are confident, it starts first with doubt. It starts first with fear. Hey, can I stand on a stage? Can I speak in front of 10 people? Can I do this? We're afraid. It actually starts with the darker places. Then we go and then we find light, and then, that's how your process is. So I think it's a beautiful way when we are authentic. That's how we are looking at it. So it's really beautiful that you did that.
Thank you. Yeah, and I'm so happy that you are able to, you know, actually get what I'm trying to say and express it back quite eloquently.
Thank you. I think because it's all connected with the subconscious, we're both doing works well, I'm an energy coach, so I think I'm in tune with that in a little different manner. This is how you're looking at it. But basically, we're both looking at a soul's journey, right? So I think that comes with very easily. For our listeners, I would just like to add, and perhaps you can put in your thoughts as well there, Vasu, that it doesn't matter where you're at, how, if you've never done art or never done, any other form of going out or so on, it's never too late to start. What age were you? When did you start? And, like you must have, as you say, that you are self taught, your life was so different then. Um, and how was that experience for you, especially as you come from a so-called such a different society, which is very much around science and papers and publishing? That so it's very very different to how you did. How was that journey, and what is the message you would give to our audience who are trying to connect with themselves, but sort of in that place where they're not really sure if they are ready yet?
Well, it was very challenging, let me tell you. It just didn't flow smoothly from one career into another. Um, the challenges, there were dark days, and the first 4 to 5 years were very frustrating in the sense that, like I was telling you about being on my first chapter of a book and compared to somebody on the 45th chapter of the book, and if I keep comparing myself to that level of refinement and things like that, obviously I wasn't going to get it then. But slowly and steadily, as I kept on creating, but like they say, practice makes perfect, and art is not perfect, but at least I was getting better from representational art to, and even in representational art, I started experimenting and making it more semi abstract and things like that. But from the fixed protocols of medicine, um, to go to this total fluidity and openness and looseness of creating an artwork, was a huge change. Um, but eventually, I was able to embrace it. And as I was creating more and more, I joined art societies and started entering competitions and exhibitions. And then, some rewards came and all. But my ultimate best moment of my artistic career and this reinvention of myself, I felt came to a culmination when during COVID time there was a call from Washington Post about COVID art, and I submitted a piece and it was considered amongst top 20 in the nation. And later on, the year after, CDC approached me and said they wanted to use that piece on the cover of their journal of emerging infectious diseases. And I was so thrilled, I can't tell you. And every time I do create a painting, I get the same emotion as if a research paper has been accepted in a journal, for publication. So there is a kind of corollary between all kinds of achievements, no matter in what field you are. And awards and achievements to give you more positive boost and um, just make it easier for you to continue to work in that direction.
Totally. And congratulations, by the way, on your achievements, because that's so well done. And it is so good to go from that real dip, let's say in self confidence, sometimes even doubting yourself, and then climbing back up. Now, if you could just talk to us around that time and not outward focused, like not what the world is seeing, but what changed? Like, how was Vasu then? As you were grappling and as you were going and discovering art or dance or journaling, as you were in that discovery process, and when you felt that, okay, now I can even talk with my colleagues in medicine and science or academia, and I can tell them that this is what I do. Because I think it takes us all time there is a shedding that we do inside. And that's when we start getting brighter on the outside. So, what happened? Just talk to us about that, giving our audience a little snippet of what that transformation looks like. What happened for you internally? What beliefs shifted for you? Not anyone else telling you, but just you. What shifted for you?
From, from moments of self-doubt and imposter syndrome, like whether I was really good enough and I should be doing this at all, or I should have just continued with medicine, which I knew I was good at, and stuff like that. This kind of shifted and boosted my confidence that yes, I was moving in the right direction, and and I was enjoying it so much and feeling so much better about making art that I just decided to pursue it, and it's now become a passion, in the sense that I feel I create art for healing. I do research into neuro arts and what all is going on. I give talks about that. I talk on the podcast. Like, I am joining the Department of Neuro Arts at the University of Michigan to be a part of their program. And right now they have an exhibit going on called Path to Precision. And I have 5 paintings in that show. And it's really a revelation to me that I could be something like this and have a successful second career. And that's what started, a book came out in January called Mastery Unleashed, where 15 of us talked about our journey. And my journey is of reinvention and discovering a new career and how to continue to be at it and continue to be successful. So kind of an inspiring story, for people to hear. So, all these changes have affected my life positively. And I feel that I'm no less of a person because I'm no longer practicing medicine the way I was. But I'm as good, if not a better person, because I'm continuing to heal, and I'm happy.
Wow, and what a blessing that is, isn't it? And what came first? Did your achievements outside with the paintings come first? Or did your shift inside come first? Like, what were you creating for? Were you creating to have an exhibition? Were you creating for yourself?
Initially, I was creating for myself. And to be honest with you, even when I create themes for exhibitions and make art, it's still for myself, but it is to present, because it's the interaction of the viewer and what you have created is what is art.
That is great. And that's what I wanted to drive home for everyone, that we sometimes see the outside and we go like, oh, this is what I want to be, this is what I want to do. And then we go, oh, why is this not coming to me? And we bring this on ourselves, that we start feeling bad because I shifted a career. Now my career should look like this and it's not coming so quickly. So this is wrong. But I think your story is very inspirational because you stay true to yourself. And you keep more and more of your light. You bring that out more and more. And so it's great that even as now you create, it's more a representation of yourself, because outside light will follow when the inside light is there. Like when you light the candle, it is going to light up, but you've just got to believe in yourself. Right. So, sorry, go on.
No, go ahead.
Is there any advice that you would want to leave for our audience? Anything that you feel we haven't covered and you would want to leave them with?
Yes, I would. I would like to invite them to join me on a journey of mindful art for renewal. I have this downloadable PDF that they can look at. It's all in color and it gives you a 7-day program for doing different type of artful exercises, and you just need to give it 10-15 minutes a day and see how you feel about doing it, and whichever part of those you like to do or enjoy doing, you should you can practice more and more of it and work with a different kind of approach using the same kind of exercises, but create something different. And it will really make you feel better. I really envision that the way we go to gym for exercise and are learning to take care of ourselves through healthy eating and healthy lifestyle and all that, some of these artful, mindful exercises in whatever form of art we choose to practice are going to become part of our mainstream kind of well-being protocol. So I think it would be extremely important to think about it, and if it's music for you, or sewing, or knitting, or cooking, or whatever it is, just pursue it with passion. And when you combine the passion with a purpose, like I create art now, and I use funds from my sales to empower charities like Empowering Women, kids with autism, lifting up and increasing mental health awareness and things like that. These are some of my missions, and it gives me great fulfillment to be able to help these causes, and makes me feel more empowered to be able to do that.
Thank you so much. Yes, Vasu, that is lovely. That is absolutely lovely. We definitely need more people like you in the world. So, listeners, please check out the course that Vasu is suggesting. We will have the links in the show notes as well. And where can people find you if they want to reach out to you? Is there a website or an Instagram handle, I suppose, where they can reach out to you?
Yeah, they can reach out to me at my website, www.vasutolia.art, and I will give you a link for this downloadable mindful exercise protocol, and they can download it and work at it. It will be, you go to my website, www.vasutolia.art/mindful art for renewal, and it will take you to the link.
All right. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot, Vasu. It was lovely to have you on the show. Thanks for teaching our listeners just how to bring more color into our life, because more color just means a lot more joy, a lot more experiences, a lot more lived life, I suppose. So thanks a lot, dear listeners. If you have enjoyed this show, please feel free to share this episode with some of your friends, because I think this is a fabulous podcast. And feel free to subscribe to us as well to have more of these amazing conversations. And I will see you next time with another episode. Lots of love. Keep shining. You deserve it. Bye-bye.